Good evening. Today is Monday, December 15, 2025. I call to order a meeting of the Brockton Finance Committee. Would everyone please rise and join me in honoring our country by saluting our flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilor Nicastro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Former Ward 4 City Councilor Ted O'Connor died earlier this month at the ripe old age of 89. Mr. O'Connor resided in Brockton for all but the last 10 years of his long life. He had a knack for fixing things and ran the Brockton vacuum store on Legion Parkway for many years. Mr. O'Connor loved Brockton politics. He served as Ward 4 City Councilor for 6 years, and I'm told he was a fine city councilor, taking good care of the people who became my constituents. I'm told he was a one-of-a-kind person, and so I ask all of you for a moment of silence in his memory. May he rest in peace.
Thank you, Councilor. Mr. Clerk, agenda item number 1, please.
Item 1, we have the appointment of Aurelia Mboyo of Albert Street, Brockton, Mass. to the Women's Commission for a 3-year term ending in December 2028. Invited Aurelia Mboyo.
Councilor Nicastro.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to make a motion to table this appointment. It's not ready to come in front of the council, as it turns out.
Second.
Motion is made, properly seconded to table this matter. All in favor of tabling? Anyone opposed? Matters tabled.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 2.
Item 2, ordered a waiver of the City of Brockton's residency requirements under Section 2-110 of the City Ordinances for Officer Spencer Benoit. Invited Officer Spencer Benoit.
Officer Benoit, good evening. Officer Benoit, you're before us this evening for a residency waiver. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Spencer Benoit. I am a police officer in the City of Brockton. I'm here today, as clerk stated, to request a residency waiver. And I'm just going to briefly explain why. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you guys are busy. Like I said, I'm Spencer Benoit. I'm a police officer in the City of Brockton. I was born and raised here. Went to Brockton Public Schools, graduated from Brockton High School in 2012. After I graduated, I joined the United States Marine Corps. Excuse me. Upon finishing my career in the Marines, I came back to the City of Brockton to pursue my career in law enforcement. And at that time, I got hired in September of 2018 for the Brockton School Police Department. I did roughly 4.5 years with the school police, and in February of 2023, I switched over to the city side police department and left the schools for regular Brockton City Police. In total, years of that with my school time and my city time, I hit 7 years in September of this year, 2025. Another thing I had prior to starting my career with BPD, a month prior to that, my daughter was born 2 months early. Her name is Lily. And she came in at a whopping 4 pounds. And so she was in the NICU for about 2 months, and then she finally got to come home. Her being born early now has developed a speech impediment, a speech delay with her. She attends a therapeutic speech school in Norwell, which on a bad day with traffic, me and my wife, takes us 45, sometimes 50-ish minutes to get her there. On a good day, it takes us 35 minutes to get there. It's taking a little bit of a burden on us, but more on my daughter, waking her up early. She's tired throughout the day, things of that nature. I have the opportunity to purchase my father-in-law's house, who lives a town over from my daughter's school, which would make that drive from sometimes 50 minutes down to about 10 minutes. So that's my main reason for requesting the residency waiver. And like I said, I hit that 7-year mark in September of this year, a couple months ago. So I just wanted to thank you for your time and appreciate you letting me come here today.
Thank you, Officer. Councilor Nicastro.
Thank you. Good evening, Officer Benoit. Thank you for being here. So I understand that, well, I have a lot of Ward 4 residents who get really concerned about the residency ordinance and satisfying it. But you're telling us that you've worked for the city for 7 years,
That's correct.
which is what the residency ordinance requires.
That's
So
correct.
really, you've spent your time here. You've done what you were supposed to do in compliance with the ordinance. Perhaps not all for as a city employee, or rather a school employee, but you've done your 7 years.
Correct. And the 7 years was as a sworn police officer in the city as well.
Okay, thank you. I will support this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Mr.
much.
Chair.
Motion to recommend favorably back to the full city
Second.
council.
Anyone else? Okay, a motion is made, properly seconded, to recommend this matter favorably. All in favor? Anyone opposed? The order is recommended favorable. Thank you,
you all
Officer
very much.
Benoit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number
Item
three.
3, order that the following named sum be and the same is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $1,609,443 from certified free cash to reserve for appropriation deficits. Invited Mayor Robert Sullivan, CFO Dr. Troy Clarkson.
Good evening, Dr. Clarkson. Auditor Gonzalez.
Yes, good evening. That is not the mayor.
Yeah.
I think the mayor reached out and
He did.
was detained and unable to be with us tonight. I have asked Auditor Juan Gonzalez to be here on this and some other issues. I did want to let the board know, my team and I provided several documents to the councilors for the multiple items we're going to discuss tonight, in addition to the items in your packet. One of them is the notification from the Commonwealth of the certified free cash, and so the amount does in fact exceed the amounts that we're requesting in the transfers tonight. So this item was referred back to the Finance Committee. You do later this evening have a special council meeting where hopefully you will vote to approve this. This and the other two items requested from the Department of Revenue are required for us to set our tax rate and set our tax bills out. Let me say on this item, but this counts for the other two, I share your frustration at the lateness of this request, but we did provide to you also the actual email from the Department of Revenue. You can see is dated last Wednesday requesting these votes. So immediately upon receiving that, I did forward it to the council with some commentary, and then worked with the clerk to schedule these meetings. This item has been requested to come back to the Finance Committee because of some questions that existed. So one of the documents we provided to you tonight is a memo from Auditor Gonzalez and myself detailing the steps that we've taken since Mayor Sullivan elected to take the responsibility of the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG funds, and the home funds back from the Brockton Redevelopment Authority. And with your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to tick very quickly through some of the actions we've taken, the auditor and myself and our finance team, since the control of the funds has been taken back from the city. We've retained CLA, Clifton Larson Allen, our city's auditor, to conduct a detailed assessment of the BRA and their funds. So we will have a balance and a detailed financial statement as of June 30th, 2024, when the city took the control of the funds back. That will help us give a starting point. We are, my office and Juan and a budget director, Elvira Lopes, who is also here tonight and can answer questions should you have any for her, but we're working directly while there's a gap in the leadership of the Planning and Economic Development Department with the Housing and Urban Development Department, and have regular meetings with them to keep them apprised of what we're doing. The city engaged Judy Barrett of Barrett Planning, one of the foremost authorities on planning in the Commonwealth. She provided a detailed report that we have included in your packet. I will note to you that date is correct, of August. She did provide the report to the Planning Department back in August. Unfortunately, it was not provided to either the mayor or to my office back then, so we received it recently. So we're just absorbing it as well, but there are some excellent recommendations in there, so that's why we provided it to you. In addition, we have engaged a consultant called Capital Strategic Solutions, a consultant that we use for a lot of different purposes, and they have retired town managers and DPW directors and finance directors on their staff, and so they're developing some policies and procedures so that the newly constituted department has some formal guidelines to work within. We've had several meetings with the staff. In fact, we have an update meeting tomorrow with the planning and CDBG staff to provide them updates similar to what we're providing to you now. And lastly, not on this list because it's literally developing as we speak, we have been in conversations with a retired community development director from another gateway city about coming on board as a part-time employee to guide the staff and how they keep control of the funds. All of these expenses I mentioned will be paid for out of the CDBG and home funds, so they will not require the commitment of any general funds. I think those steps are relevant to provide hopefully a confidence level to you that since the city took back responsibility, we are putting the fiscal house in order. We're trying to understand the commitments that have been made for CDBG and home funds and keep those commitments, but also create structure that will allow the oversight of those funds to move forward and be invested in the city as is required. The second half of this memo was provided by Juan Gonzalez, where he actually detailed what makes up that $1.6 million that's being requested to be covered with free cash. So what happens is when we transfer the free cash, yes, we are covering the deficit for the BRA, but that will extinguish that, and we can start with a clean slate moving forward with the funds under the city's control. Juan, anything to add? No. Okay. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councilors, any questions? Councilor Farwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nothing of what I say refers to either of you, because the Brockton Redevelopment Authority was a separate entity unto itself with its own staff. But I can't begin to tell you how frustrated, how embarrassed I am that we are where we are with this particular issue. And I do appreciate what the auditor sent out to us by email about a week ago. So let's go to fiscal year 2021. According to the information provided under the lead paint abatement program, there was a $126,098 deficit. In FY21, under the home program, there was a $290 deficit. Under the CDBG program, in FY21, there was a $310,212.72 deficit. There was a staff in place at the Redevelopment Authority which would have realized the revenue coming in from the federal government for these programs. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And either a person or persons would have been in charge of the home program, the lead paint abatement program, or the CDBG spending, correct?
Absolutely.
So after the first year's deficit, which I understand we were forced to offset with free cash, what changed? What did the city do? Who was disciplined? Who was held accountable? Who lost their job? Who was retrained? If you know, and you may not know. So, I mean, please be honest. If you don't know, just say so, and I'll move on to the next issue.
I don't know, because at the time, obviously, the operations of the BRA were under the auspices of the board, which was appointed by the mayor, so our office didn't have any direct involvement at all with those operations.
And what particularly bothers me, and you and I had a brief conversation this afternoon, this was discretionary spending. This wasn't spending that had to be done. If someone applied for lead paint abatement funds and we didn't have sufficient revenue to cover that, we could have simply said that, I'm sorry, the program is no longer funding any projects because we have expended all of the allotment, and we didn't do that. So now let's go to FY22. Lead paint abatement, $618,721 and change in deficit. FY22, the home program, $8,543 deficit. FY22, the CDBG program, $88,967 and change in deficit. Again, anything change? Anyone lose their job? Anyone held accountable? Any intervention by the city?
No, Counselor, if I might, though, and this is not a distinction without a difference. I think one of the issues with the way the Commonwealth accounts for what we call a deficit is if they spend the funds and don't apply for the reimbursement by the deadline, it's June 30th, but then they usually extend it into September, then it comes as a deduction of free cash, but doesn't, by definition, doesn't necessarily mean that they overspent, just that they weren't timely in the request for reimbursements.
Well, but it means the professional people who were in charge of these programs, who were being compensated for their services, did not do what was required.
100% agreed, yes, sir.
And that bothers me. And then in FY23, CDBG, we're almost $1 million in deficit, $959,000. FY23 in the home program, $120,604, and in lead paint in FY23, $1,170,511 in deficit. And so here's where I'm going with this, and you and I, again, we had a conversation this afternoon. This city has got to get serious about holding people who are in positions of authority and responsibility accountable for their work. Now, it does start at the mayor's office. If Councilor Rodriguez were here, I would caution him that he has got to come into City Hall on January 5th, and all of us working with him have got to establish, in my opinion, a new mindset about what it means to work for the city, what it means to be trusted by the public with federal funds or locally appropriated funds or any funds for that matter. And people who are neglecting or refusing to carry out their responsibilities, they can certainly be retrained. I'm not one of these people who takes draconian action. Perhaps someone's in a position for which they're not qualified, but they could become qualified. But for those people who are simply going to continue to spend money, not document why we're spending it, and then have the city have to use free cash, which can be used for street reconstruction, school issues, public safety issues, to simply offset the rising deficits, which seem to increase year after year, is absolutely inexcusable. Now, if that makes me the proverbial skunk at a lawn party because I'm too hard about these things, I really don't care. I mean, I think, as I said to you this afternoon, Dr. Clarkson, you can't be everywhere. You have to be able to depend upon people in various departments, on boards and commissions to do their work, to monitor finances, to make you aware of issues that are developing, to let us know. Personally, I mean, I think I had a right to know back in FY21, 22, and 23 that we were offsetting these redevelopment authority deficits. I didn't know that. If any of my other colleagues knew about it, so be it. But the only way we can intervene and have meaningful action and live up to the trust that the people give us to sit here and watch over finances is to know the relevant facts. So I understand that we're going to have to pay this year. I understand the Department of Revenue, and I do think for the most part they work with us, even though they can be heavy-handed. This is what they require. But I'm telling you, as a person, as a resident, as a counselor, this type of indifference, this type of lack of attention to detail, this type of refusal or neglect to monitor financial issues for the city cannot continue, because none of us will be successful if it's allowed to continue. None of us. And I'll get off my soapbox, but I really believe this because I've lived through, as you know, the financial troubles of the city in the past, and I don't want to see it. I don't want to see that repeated in the future.
Counselor, if that desire for accountability makes you a skunk at the garden party, I will gladly stink right alongside you, because you are absolutely correct, and it is profoundly frustrating to have to shift funds that could be dedicated elsewhere to address these preventable oversights.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else? Seeing none? Counselor, is there a motion?
Motion to recommend favorably.
Second.
Second.
Motion is made, properly seconded, to recommend this order favorably. All in favor? Anyone opposed? The order is recommended favorable. Thank you, gentlemen.
Item 4, ordered that the City Council authorizes the acceptance and expenditure of the total grant funds in the amount of $323,822.71 from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security to the Brockton Fire Department. Invited Fire Chief Brian Nardelli and/or his designee, CFO Dr. Troy Clarkson.
Good evening, Chief Nardelli.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Good evening, councilors. Tonight, I bring before you the staffing grant that we received from EOPS. We've received it every year. We've gotten a little better with Deputy Albanese has done a good job. We increased it the last 2 years, increased by about 10%. This is $323,822.71. This is a non-matching grant. This grant is given to 10 communities throughout the Commonwealth, gateway communities, to assist with overtime and things of that nature.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Counselors, any questions?
Motion to recommend favorably back to the full city council.
Second.
Motion is made, properly seconded, to recommend this order favorably. All in favor? Anyone opposed? The order is recommended favorable.
Thank you,
Chief.
councilors.
Good evening.
Item 5, ordered that the City Council authorizes the acceptance and expenditure of the total grant funds in the amount of $175,688 from the Executive Office of Elder Affairs to the Council on Aging. Invited Director Janice Fitzgerald, CFO Dr. Troy Clarkson. I did receive an email late this afternoon from Ms. Fitzgerald, and she is home ill.
Understood. Hope you feel better, Ms. Fitzgerald. Good evening, Dr. Clarkson.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. I did send you, as is my typical procedure, a detailed memo on all of the finance-related items on tonight's agenda, and as I noted, and also in your packet, this is a grant from the Executive Office of Elder Affairs. It's a recurring grant with no required match, and it supports the outreach activities at the Senior Center.
Motion to recommend favorably back to the full city council.
Second.
Motion made, properly seconded, to recommend this order favorably. All in favor? Anyone opposed? The order is recommended favorable.
Thank you.
Item 6, ordered that the City Council authorizes the acceptance and expenditure of the total grant funds in the amount of $13,000 from the Old Colony Planning Council to the Council on Aging. Invited Director Janice Fitzgerald, CFO Dr. Troy Clarkson.
Dr. Clarkson.
Thank you. This particular grant from the Old Colony Planning Council, affectionately known as OCPC, will exercise programs at the Senior Center. No match.
Councilors?
Motion to recommend favorably back to the full city council.
Second.
Motion made, properly seconded, to recommend this order favorably. All in favor? Anyone opposed? The order is recommended favorably. Thank you, Dr. Clarkson.
Item 7, ordered that pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 14, and the City of Brockton's Ordinance 2-157, the City of Brockton hereby accepts the lease agreement entered into with New England Golf Cars, a corporation which has an address of 62 Industrial Way, Seekonk, Massachusetts, for 74 new golf carts for DW Field Golf Course. Said lease agreement shall run for a 5-year term with payments beginning May 2026 and ending October 2030. The mayor is authorized to execute any and all documents necessary in connection with said lease agreement. Invited Superintendent of Parks Timothy Carpenter, CFO Dr. Troy Clarkson.
Superintendent Carpenter, good evening.
Good evening.
Dr. Clarkson, again, good evening.
Good evening. Let me just give a quick introduction on the financial aspects of it. Most of this is operational, and as you can see, Mr. Carpenter is here. When Tim came to us with the proposal, obviously our major concern or question, as I'm sure was yours, is this affordable and can the golf operation support the lease payment? So in your packets originally, and then we printed out another copy for you tonight, is the entire proposal from New England Golf Cars. And as you can see, the payment schedule is from May to October of each year, so during the busy operational months of the golf course. And so it's annual payments of $76,836, and then a small additional payment for on-call will call maintenance at $616 a year. So in order to support that, we also provided you this printout, this analysis that shows the revenues and expenses of the golf course over the last 6 years. And we broke that down for you for cart revenue, greens fees, and permits, and the total revenue. We broke that down for you by calendar year and fiscal year. Obviously, we know that we operate on a fiscal year, but because it's a seasonal operation, the golf course itself, although financially operates on a fiscal year, we wanted to really show you a picture of how it does on an annual basis, on a calendar basis every year. And when you break that down by calendar year, you can see a significant increase in the revenue every year. It's a well-known fact that post-pandemic golf has exploded in popularity, and the revenue it bears that out. So from 2020 to 2025, we see from 1.4 up to $1.8 million a year in annual revenue. When you go by fiscal year, the dynamics are skewed a little bit. I would just, you can see it's 1.1 this year, but that's through December. So we'll have next year, the remainder of this fiscal year, but beginning next calendar year, the spring season, which we anticipate will bring those numbers back up to meet or exceed what we've done the last few years. We also included the golf expenses for the last several years so that you can see the revenue far exceeds the expenses in the golf course. It's a very profitable venture. What we choose to do, the mayor, you and I together, is we reinvest that money in other recreational activities throughout the city. So the golf course itself is very, very successful financially and can certainly support this investment in golf carts. Tim, Mr. Carpenter says that this was not intentional, but I will tell you I played in the Mayor's Cup golf tournament, and the golf cart that I got conked out on like the 15th hole. So I can speak from personal experience that new golf carts are needed, and I heard that the golf cart that Santa rode from City Hall to the beginning of the parade also had some difficulties. Not planned, I am sure, but that just demonstrates, I think, the need to invest in new golf carts. And with that, I'll defer to Mr. Carpenter.
I do just sort of have a brief little statement here, give you a little background. So good evening, councilors, and thank you for hearing this matter here this evening. Joining me, and if it is okay, is Kurt Calderwood, who's the Assistant Superintendent of Parks. Kurt's assigned to the golf course and has implemented many of the changes at the golf course, resulting in vast improvements in playing conditions and the subsequent increase in gross sales over the past 10 years. The 2025 golf season was again a record year with over $1.8 million in gross sales. We have made significant strides to improve the golf course and the conditions in the recent past, bringing record numbers of golfers to the course from all over southeastern, the South Shore. Compliments about the condition of the golf course abound. The two most common complaints at this point are the cart paths, which we are working on, and the carts themselves. Our current fleet consists of 76 carts, ranging in age from 2012 model year to 2020 model year, with the majority of the fleet being over 7 years old. Because we own the fleet and are contractually obligated to supply 70 carts to the pro shop on a daily basis, the maintenance of the fleet is the responsibility of the golf course staff. This requires significant staff time to address issues with the aging fleet in season, as well as full maintenance of the fleet in the off-season. And oftentimes, if there are issues that we cannot fix on our own, it requires calling the vendors at significant cost. As you can see by the information provided, most golfers do take carts, and our fleet gets significant use. Over the past 5 seasons, we have implemented policies to use our newest carts first and our older carts last in order to avoid as many issues as possible. But with an average of 10 to 17,000 cart rounds a year, our fleet takes a beating. When a cart does break down, pro shop staff are often sent to scramble to replace the cart, which can take away from ranger duties and or having to close the shop to replace that cart. This lease proposal would allow for an entirely new fleet of carts, addressing cart condition concerns and golfer satisfaction, and relieve the burden of maintenance from the golf staff. Leasing a fleet is a tactic used by most golf courses, including several municipal golf courses such as George Wright, William Devine, also known as Franklin Park, Cedar Hill, just over in Stoughton there, Bayberry, Braintree, and the Captains. Using the state bid list, we did request 3 quotes, as is required. This quote that is here before you this evening was the lowest quote we received. In terms of our existing fleet, because trade-ins are not allowed to be applied towards the cost of the lease, we would anticipate putting out an RFP to sell the existing fleet, probably selling 70 of our existing 76 carts to give us a little cushion should we have some issues. With that, Kurt and I are available for any questions.
Councilor Azak, but before that, if no objection to have Mr. Calderwood join us this evening as a non-invited guest. Seeing no objection, Councilor Azak.
Thank you. Good evening, gentlemen. So just, and I apologize if I missed it, but what is the monthly payment, lease payment?
So
What will it be?
from May through October, the monthly payment would be $12,806.
$12,806
From May through October. That's a yearly payment of $76,836.
Okay, that's yearly. And the other question I had for you is the existing fleet. You answered that. I was going to ask what we were going to do with that. So we purchased those outright throughout the years that you...
So yes, we were actively replacing carts when funds were made available. In 2020, many of the capital requests sort of had to go on pause because of COVID, and then following years, there were some other significant budgetary issues. So we did not have funding to replace carts as needed.
Okay. And what is the average cost of a golf cart?
So of a brand-new golf cart, you're looking just shy of $7,000. So I think-
$7,000
Correct.
per cart, okay. And so what happens after October 2030? Do we own them? Or is this a lease to own, or what happens?
So by state contract, you are not allowed to lease to own.
Okay,
So you would be hopefully releasing a new fleet of carts. That's going to give us a new fleet of carts every 5 years.
so go into a whole new lease?
Yep.
Okay. Very good. And out of right now, the 7 that you said we would put out to RFP, are they they're all in working condition? They're all?
There is probably 7 or 8 that aren't working, but we're working on them as we speak right now, so they should all be working by the time they go out to RFP.
Okay. And do we do the repairs in-house, or do we
In-house.
in-house?
Yep.
Okay.
A majority of the repairs are done in-house, whether that's in season or during the winter when the golf course is closed.
Okay.
I think that's the tough thing with only having 5 people on staff, taking away to try to get carts ready for tournaments and getting the course ready for the tournament. We just don't have the time. Most municipal golf courses have 12 to 14 employees on the golf course. We're limited to 5, so it's very difficult on us.
That's understandable. So if I'm understanding correctly, this is just so we can maintain, and this will be less maintenance, so we always have, it'll save us on maintaining them, and also because we're understaffed.
Correct.
Correctly?
So there is a service agreement that goes along with this. It's about $3,600 a year that will keep them on call, will calls. They'll also perform all the preseason maintenance that needs to be done and all the end of season stuff that needs to be done, all the oil changes, the filters, all that stuff. That is, we are now not buying those parts. We're not spending that time and labor to do that work. and we'll be able to focus, especially the in-season issues, we will be able to focus much more on the golf course itself.
Perfect. One last question. So this, are the repairs done in Seekonk, or do they come out on site and repair them here?
They'll come out on site.
Oh, perfect.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Razak. Anyone else? Councilor Castro.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Carpenter, I appreciate your time on the phone today. So, as you and I discussed, and as has been laid out, this is going to cost the golf course about $80,000 a year, right, between the rental and the service contract. And so what I'm looking to hear, and I asked for additional financial information, which was provided this afternoon and tonight, can the golf course afford this? And I guess I want to ask that question of Mr. Clarkson.
I would offer an emphatic, I guess, yes. I am not an avid golfer myself, 4 or 5 times a year max, but I do know that TW is widely regarded as one of the best municipally run courses in the Commonwealth. But I do also know that one of the things that golfers look to, having managed municipal courses in other communities, is high-quality equipment, and chief among them is carts. And so I think this is an appropriate investment in the quality of the golf experience that we offer that will allow us to continue to see revenues climb significantly.
So then you do think we can afford this? Because I looked over the budget, from our budget books back in June. I looked at the additional information provided. It seems like we can afford it without looking anywhere else for funding, like the general fund.
Yes, without a doubt, the golf operation can afford it. I think you make an important point that I want to offer to the council. There are years when the general fund makes a subsidy to the enterprise fund. The reason for that is, though, is that the golf, as I mentioned in my opening, the golf operation actually funds a portion of the recreational activities in the rest of the community. So it's appropriate, in fact, common for general funds to be used to fund public recreation in communities. And so were this golf course standalone, it would have significant retained earnings year in and year out. But we make a policy decision, and you support it, to use the golf course to help fund the rest of the recreation in the city.
I think that makes sense. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else? Councilor Farwell.
Just very quickly, Mr. Cabinet, who sets the fee for the rental of the golf cart?
The Park Commission does. We generally do that in our February meeting.
All right, and what is the current fee to lease rent a golf cart?
So we rent them by seat, as is standard for every golf course, just about. So right now, it is $22 a seat.
$22 a seat?
Correct.
So two people, $44?
Or dollars.
All right, and would that be sufficient to recover the cost of the lease payments as well as the $616 monthly for the tune-up and oil change, et cetera, or whatever it is?
So I think one of the ways that this was broken down for you, like for every fiscal year, we've done in cart revenues anywhere between $265,000 and $374,000. Some years we did $431,000. So yes, I would say that over the course of a year and then over the course of a 5-year lease, these carts would pay us back more than the lease payments.
Does a portion go to the golf pro under the lease agreement?
Correct.
All right, so out of the $44 for two people, what percentage, if you know, does the golf pro collect?
Let's just go off of 20%. That's sort of the average, because the
It changes
the
from
payment,
value.
yes, the payment for the golf pro services is based on revenue at a certain percent up to $1 million, at a little bit higher percentage from $1 million to 1.3 million, and then at 25% for everything over 1.3.
All right, so is this cart revenue that you gave us, this is net after he's received his,
That is gross,
that's gross?
correct. But the figures you have for the expenses of the golf course include what we pay for golf management services.
Are we required, or do we have a liability policy if, God forbid, someone gets hit by a golf cart or falls off of a golf cart? Are there any other expenses that would be attendant to having this fleet?
So no, any sort of damage that is considered run-of-the-mill damage would be covered under the repair of the lease. If someone is misusing a golf cart and rolls it down a hill, I don't know exactly what would be covered and what not. I would imagine that those repairs may not be covered. But in the 14 years I've been here, that hasn't happened yet.
All right, so in other words, we don't have a separate insurance policy covering injuries that might occur to someone either operating a golf cart or getting hurt by one?
No, I think much like going to a baseball game, there is sort of an understanding that there is the possibility of getting hit by a golf ball or something to that effect. But no, there is no extra liability.
Expenses? Okay.
Right.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else?
Motion to recommend favorably back to the full city council.
Second.
Just on the motion, I had two quick questions. Does this lease, is there any expected savings over the current way we operate business through ownership? Just money-wise, I know time and...
So roughly, to purchase a whole new fleet, you're looking at just about $500,000. The cost of this lease over the 5 years is roughly $390,000.
Okay.
So in theory, if you were to replace the whole fleet every 5 years, this is a cost savings.
Great. Secondly, do you have any understanding of what the sale price would be or the estimated value of our existing fleet?
So early on in the process, when we thought we could apply trade-ins to the lease price, the trade-in value that we got for most of these carts was just over $100,000. So projected sale price may be higher. So conservatively, I would say that the sale of carts would net just about $100,000.
And then lastly, just kind of piggybacking on Councilor Farwell, he was talking about insurance, sounded more like liability insurance of being injured on the premises from a golf ball or maybe you've been hit by a cart. But what about insurance on the carts themselves for damage? Now, you said normal wear and tear would be covered.
Normal wear and tear would be covered.
But if somebody was acting the fool and damaged that cart or hit it with a golf club or golf ball hits it, that's stuff that the city would be responsible for?
So I think there are probably scenarios where the city would be required to make those payments. But again, in the 14 years I've been here, that's pretty limited.
Understood.
It's generally
More of it's wear and tear on the carts that we have, seats, things that we have to replace, which if you go every 5 years, you won't have that.
Yep.
You won't have that issue.
Well, I thank you for that. Motion is made, properly seconded to recommend this order favorably. All in favor? Anyone opposed? The order is recommended favorable. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8, ordered in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council approve the expenditure of $44,134.24 from Public Property Stadium Purchase of Service, from Public Property Purchase of Service, from Public Property Goods and Supplies, to Anania Plumbing, to Quabbin Well and Pump, to Verizon, to United Security, and to Granite City. Invited Interim Commissioner of Buildings William Forte, CFO Dr. Troy Clarkson.
Good evening, Commissioner Forte and Dr. Clarkson.
Good evening. Interim Commissioner Bill Forte is here to explain to you if you have any questions on the specific bills that are here for payment. This is similar to other items seeking for unpaid bills from a prior fiscal year, and I'm happy to defer to the Interim Commissioner.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Clarkson, thank you. This basically is just a housekeeping matter. There were a couple of bills that were paid out of, that were not paid during the fiscal year that they're required to be. I would attribute this mostly to the fact that maybe some of the billing was lagging. When I know that when the services were ordered, they were properly spent. We seem to have this issue with our subcontractors not getting their bills in a timely manner. I could tell you going forward in the future, I'm going to be laying down some guidelines, some decent guidelines that are going to require vendors to, submit bills within 30 days, and especially toward the end of the fiscal year. I think a couple of these just got under the wire. The money was expended properly. There was a PO, but unfortunately, it didn't get into the fiscal year, and I'm just kind of cleaning house, making sure that everyone gets paid, and moving forward, I don't expect to have this issue again.
Understood. Councilors, any questions? Councilor Farwell.
Mr. Forte, you were kind enough to send out an attachment to us, and I had a couple of questions on it.
Yes.
And just in general, when we contract for the purchase of goods or services, is a purchase order done? Every department head should know that something is now outstanding. We're going to end up having to pay something, and I had this conversation in the committee room earlier. We never had a problem paying bills within the time allotted after the close of a fiscal year and with the grace period that's given. In the last 2 or 3 years, it seems like we've got a compendium of bills that always have to be paid out of FY26 because they didn't get paid properly in the prior fiscal year, or FY25 because of the prior fiscal year. And it really needs to stop. And in particular, I have a question for you. Quabbin Well and Plumbing, parts and labor to repair a well at the Rock Stadium, $22,510. Do you know if they were under a state contract? Do you know if we had a bid for that? Do we have the required paperwork under 30B to approve payment for that type of an amount?
Yes, they were a state-certified contractor, and they did bid the job appropriately. We were not required to send it out for a proposal. The work was done in accordance with state guidelines and state contracts.
All right, and how about Verizon? $2,011.43. My understanding is that some bills were found in a desk drawer at the Rock Stadium, and that's why they didn't get paid. And I just don't get it.
I agree with you, Councilor. Because of the past couple of teams that have managed the Rocks, there was, I'm sure that this council is aware that there were this mismanagement problems that had gone on, and this was one of the things that was discovered as of late. We kept getting this bill, not knowing where it originated from, and once we finally figured it out, it was left over from not the team that's currently managing, but from the team before. And so again, I can't really speak to what happened back then, but I'll just tell you that moving forward, I plan to have a much more regimented, billing requirement, and hopefully we're not here again like this next year. So,
are any of the bills that we're being asked to pay tonight the responsibility of the prior Rocks team? Are the taxpayers picking up anything that really should have been paid by prior ownership?
Yes, and I would say that I think that the city has gone after that individual or that entity for non-payment of some other things as well. We can include this in the settlement if there is one, but I would tell you that yes, the prior team would be responsible.
And if you know, are they current on their water and sewer charges? Both the current ownership now and the prior ownership, where we owed money for water and sewer charges from prior Rocks ownership?
I wouldn't have that answer, but I could get it for you and give it to you first thing tomorrow.
Yeah.
We could definitely check up on it.
The taxpayers have really poured a lot of money in. Well, your department has poured a lot of money into the Rock Stadium, and you wonder when it's going to end.
It's a fixer-upper, I would agree.
It's a fixer-upper, all right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, councilors. Anyone else? I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to recommend favorably.
Second.
Motion is made, properly seconded, recommend this order favorably. All in favor? Anyone opposed? The order is recommended favorable. Thank you, gentlemen.
Item 9, ordered that the following named sum be and the same is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $40,642.50 from Human Resources Benefits to Department of Public Works Sewer, $14,461.20, to the Department of Public Works Water, $26,181.30. Invited DPW Commissioner Pat Hill, CFO Dr. Troy Clarkson.
Commissioner Hill, Dr. Clarkson, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Just to set the stage for you, we have had a few of these transfers for settled contracts. As you know, in this year's fiscal year 26 budget, we set aside $1 million in the human resource budget to fund some of these contracts. Thus far, we've spent about $119,000, so there's more than ample funds available to make this transfer. And Pat can discuss the specifics, but this is, like the others, a very conservative one-year contract that will allow the new mayor to come in and start with new collective bargaining with all of the unions.
I mean, I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, it's a pretty standard agreement kind of across the board, it seems, with the contracts that I've seen, with the 1.5% and you know, other benefits.
Motion to recommend favorably.
Second.
Motion is made, properly seconded, recommend this order favorably. All in favor? Anyone opposed? The order is recommended favorable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 10, ordered that the following named sum be and the same is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $1,300,000 from fire personal service non-overtime to fire personal service overtime. Invited Fire Chief Brian Nardelli and/or his designee, CFO Dr. Troy Clarkson.
Good evening, Chief Nardelli and Dr. Clarkson.
Good evening again, Mr. Chair and councilors. Thank you. This is something the last few years I've had to come for you about this time for, to replenish overtime funds into the regular overtime account out of other parts of my budget. This is funded completely within the fire service budget and not asking for anything outside of that, just moving monies around.
Motion to recommend favorably.
Second.
Second.
Motion is made, properly seconded, recommend this order favorably. All in favor? Anyone opposed? The order is recommended favorable. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, councilors.
Councilors, that is the end of our agenda. I'm going to open it up for councilors' recognition. Councilor Nicastro.
Thank you. Friday evening, I was fortunate to attend a concert, the Holiday Jazz Concert at Brockton High School. There were 4 different combos or bands that performed. It was terrific. And so I want to applaud all of the students who participated and all of their directors for a fine concert. It was really uplifting, and I really needed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else? Seeing none, with no further city business before this committee, I declare this meeting adjourned. Good evening. Today is Monday, December 15, 2025. I call to order a special meeting of the Brockton City Council. Will everyone please rise and join me in honoring our country by saluting our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, agenda item number 1, please.
Item 1, we have the call of the meeting.
Accepted and placed on file.
Item 2, we have the officer's return of notice.
Accepted and placed on file.
Item 3, ordered that the following named sum be and the same is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $134,735 from certified free cash to DPW refuse retained earnings. In City Council, this was favorable on, I don't have the date, I'm sorry.
Sometime before.
Dr. Clarkson.
Councilors, I know we had this matter before us before. We do have Dr. Clarkson and Auditor Gonzalez here with us if there were any other questions regarding this matter. If not, we'll go into a roll call vote. Does this change?
Yes.
Okay.
We did, if I might,
Yes, please.
Mr. President, in this venue, we did, as I shared with you, did receive the final numbers from the Department of Revenue in the email that we shared with you on Thursday. And Juan can speak to it if you have any questions about the change, but there is a very small change in this number. And we would ask that you just amend the vote to $138,096, $138,096.
Thank you. Councilor Lally.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I just wanted to confirm with our legislative council that amendment can be made.
Yes, we can make that amendment tonight.
Okay. Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to amend item 3 from $134,735 to $138,096.
Second.
Motion is made, properly seconded to amend this order. All in favor of amending? Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Question comes on adoption. Question comes on adoption by roll call vote as amended. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Azak.
Yes.
Farwell.
Yes.
Lally.
Yes.
Nicastro.
Yes.
Texera.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes,
6 in the affirmative.
the order is adopted.
Item 4, ordered that the following named sum be and the same is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $1,609,443 from certified free cash to reserve for appropriation deficits. In City Council, the report was favorable.
Councilor, this question comes on adoption by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Azak.
Yes.
Farwell.
Yes.
Lally.
Yes.
Nicastro.
Yes.
Texera.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes,
6 in the affirmative.
the order is adopted.
Mr. President, on items 3 and 4, I move reconsideration in the hope it does not prevail.
Second.
Motion is made, properly seconded for reconsiderations on agenda items 3 and 4. All in favor of reconsideration? Anyone opposed? Reconsideration fails.
Item 5, ordered that the following named sum be and the same is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $6,992,153 from certified free cash to the Health Insurance Trust Fund. We have a communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the transfer of $6,992,153.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO recommending the same.
Accepted and filed.
Now, the question is if anybody has any questions. We need a motion to
Well, you got to
suspend the
read the
rules.
order,
and act
right?
on
We
it.
just said communications, now it's reading the order, correct?
I already did read the order. We had it backwards.
I did it backwards, okay.
Motion to suspend the rules and act on it this evening.
Motion was made, give a second, I didn't hear a second.
Second.
Second. Motion is made, properly second, to suspend the rules and act on this matter this evening. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is granted. Councilors, we have the CFO and the auditor before us if there's any questions on this agenda item. Any questions, councilors?
Just for the sake of the public, and I thank Dr. Clarkson for the conversation we had today. The Health Insurance Trust Fund is funded by a general fund appropriation, which we passed as part of the budget, but it's also funded by the employee contributions. And apparently what the Department of Revenue is saying is that they want liquidity. They want us to be able to satisfy that we're self-insured, we pay our own claims. They want us to be, they want us to have the liquidity, the money in the account to pay the outstanding claims that exist. So that's the reason for this tonight. I did not originally understand it. It makes sense after I talked with Dr. Clarkson. If I have misspoken, either one of them can chime in here. But it's a bookkeeping exercise, but one that we're required to do. Not that I necessarily agree with it, because we do have sufficient funds to handle our health insurance claims, but this is what the Department of Revenue wants, and really don't have much choice.
Councilors, since we have the CFO before us, I think it's important, since this is quite a large transfer, if you could just kind of explain at 35,000 feet what we're doing here this evening.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. And I do have Auditor Juan Gonzalez here with me, and he penned for you a very detailed memo, and I thank Juan for that, explaining really the accounting procedures that led us to this point. This emerged very late last week, and I want to thank the clerk for his cooperation in getting this before you, because this vote is required to set our tax rate. Essentially, last year, Brockton, along with self-insured communities throughout Massachusetts, experienced a significant increase in health insurance claims, largely due to the explosion of the GLP-1 weight loss drugs, prescription costs in general, and also in eastern Massachusetts, for sure, a contraction of providers. So fewer providers, higher costs. And so we saw significantly increased claims that exceeded our collections. The reason why we keep the money for health insurance segregated from general funds is so that we can keep funds on hand when events like that occur. And so we did, as Juan explained in his memo, had sufficient funds to pay for the difference between the claims and what we collected. I think the difference in approach between what Juan did in consultation with CLA, our external auditor, and the approach that the Department of Revenue wanted to take resulted in this request from an accounting perspective to cover that difference with free cash. But we did recognize, again, that the claims were greater than what we collected. So as of last July 1, we increased our health insurance rates, again, as public health insurance providers did across the Commonwealth. We increased ours by 14.5%. And that last page of the memo that Juan provided to you is from our health insurance consultant who does this on a monthly basis. And as of October, so that's the last month that we have data for, our income is exceeding our claims by almost $4 million. So in this new year, our increase in premiums thus far is producing another significant reserve. So it's frustrating to us, both in the timeliness and the amount, but this is being required for us to be able to move forward and set our tax rate.
Thank you, Mr. CFO. Councilor Castro.
Thank you. Gentlemen, good evening. So our free cash has been set at $10.1 million. But after we vote on the several matters that are here which will reduce that free cash, we will be left with $1.4 million in our free cash. And I'm really troubled by it. I'm troubled by that amount in these times. Can you speak to that at all?
Sure, I'll gladly answer it, and then Juan, if you have anything to add. One of the things we talked with the Department of Revenue on our call last week about was continuing the dialogue on this issue, the health insurance in particular. You can, in the fiscal year, request a recertification of free cash, and we intend to do that. So we hope to work with the DOR to recertify the free cash, and that will hopefully bring that balance up a little bit. Juan, do you want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so in the call that we had on Thursday of last week, the director of the Bureau of Accounts, Deborah Wagner, had assured us that once we cover these deficits, that we can recertify free cash, and the free cash will go up by the 1.6 million plus the 6.9. So realistically speaking, we're going to have that 1 million something left over from tonight's vote, but the recertification, because the way free cash works is almost like a double dip, if you will, where originally the calculation for free cash for this year was actually supposed to be closer to 17 million, but we got hit on multiple fronts with the 1.6 million, the 6.9, and the refuse enterprise for the 138,000. The Department of Revenue has given us some leeway, and they're willing to recertify the free cash to give us basically that double hit back where we only get hit once. However, in the future, we are going to have to go back to council again because we are bound by Chapter 324, the supplemental reserve, where we have to, the calculation is now at 9 million, where 9 million, when we have that free cash recertified, is going to have to go back into that Chapter 324. So, reserve, yes.
All right, I'm not sure I understand at all that we'll get to use it again, is essentially what you're saying, right?
We are going to be able to use it because the worst case scenario would be that we would get stuck with that 1.4 million left over. But the Department of Revenue has said that, you know what, you guys actually need the free cash, so they're willing to go and recertify the free cash once these deficits are covered. Because usually they don't, you can recertify free cash, but there's certain, it's difficult to explain because their accounting on their end, as we see with the Health Insurance Trust Fund, is very confusing, right? So it's almost like they make the rules, if you will, where they let us know what they can and can't do, what we can and can't do. So they have assured us this time around that once we cover these deficits in tonight's vote and we set the tax rate, that we can go back to them and say, you know what? We can give you the free cash that you would hit originally, which was the 6.9 million and the 1.6. I can, send you an email to explain it a little bit better. It's very confusing how the DOR does these calculations.
So what is real? Are we really losing that money and ending up with 1.4 million in our free cash, or
right now we are going to have that, but once the free cash is recertified, it'll be the 1.4 plus the 1.6 plus the 1.9. So we will have whatever the math is on that in free cash.
If I might step in, I think Juan's suggestion of providing something like he did with this, a detailed memo explaining that, I think would be helpful for all of us.
It would be very helpful. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor.
Mr. President.
Councilor, I just had one quick question. So from what I'm understanding, this is not actually money out the door. This is just accounting, like a accounting issue, and not necessarily we're writing a check to our trust fund for the 6.9.
It's both. I mean, this is a real reduction in our available free cash of that amount. I think what Juan is referring to is the Health Insurance Trust on a rolling basis receives money. Remember, the free cash is a snapshot as of June 30th. So that's not the balance today. And so as we take in the money from the city's budget and from our employees, that the balance in the trust fund fluctuates. And then, of course, we actually pay the claims, and so it goes down. And so what he's referring to is once we make this transfer, we can demonstrate to the Department of Revenue that the trust fund is, in fact, as Juan states, is solvent. Then we can go back with a recertification. It may not be that exact number, but it will be, we hope, reflective of what the number is in the account when we make that request. Okay. And I did ask, in case you have any questions on the account itself, Marty Brophy is here as well.
No, I have no further questions. Councilors, the question is on adoption by roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Azak?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Nicastro?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
6 in the affirmative.
The order is adopted.
I move reconsideration and hope it does not prevail.
Second.
Motion is made, properly seconded for reconsideration. All in favor of reconsideration? Those opposed? Reconsideration fails. Councilors, with no further business before us this evening, I declare this meeting adjourned.